Good afternoon, good evening, and good morning. Welcome back to the internet's most consistent podcast, The View from the Afternoon. Oh, God, I don't know why I'm a bit out of breath. It's been while you haven't seen this on your side of the camera, it's actually been quite a while since I've recorded a podcast. I got into a really good swing of motivation, and then just kind of lost it, to be fair, which was fine because we had loads of back catalogue, so we could still be the most consistent. But this is the first podcast I'm recording of 2026. So just to shoot myself in the foot there, because usually when we date content, it doesn't perform quite as well. I would reflect on the year that we've just had, given that it's literally January 2nd today. But this is probably going to be coming out in like April or some shit, so there's probably not much value on me doing that. But let me just say, while we did have views-wise a smaller year than we had 2024, pretty much all the other areas of the channel are performing really well, and some even outperforming the previous year. So all is good here. I'm not sure how much mileage this conversation has, folks, just because it might be a little bit niche, but I wanted to talk a little bit. I mean, you've seen the title, right? I wanted to share some passions with you from the world's coldest living room. I've still not put my heating on all throughout the winter. It's not been on once. I've just been wearing hoodies and stuff, but today, for some reason, I'm not wearing a hoodie, so I'm absolutely freezing. This is essentially a top 10 list, but I want to give it a little bit of context. I'm a 33-year-old millennial man, for those of you that didn't know. But I'm kind of not, I don't want to sound too cringe, but like I'm quite unique in the sense of like my behavioral patterns for someone my age. And what I mean by that is that I probably have more in common with like the tail end of, with like the generation now that's in like their early to mid 20s than I typically have with someone else who's in like their mid 30s. And I think a big reason for that is like the internet. And I think, you could say this same statement for pretty much the whole crew, with the exception of like Chris, who's more like a mid 40s kind of lad. But yeah, like I am very much a new media person, and I kind of got in just in time to have kind of been brought up, so to speak, on new media. I watch exclusively internet content. I don't watch films. I don't watch movies ever. I mean, I've obviously seen films, right? But I couldn't tell you the last time I watched a feature film that was produced by like a major studio. I don't go to the cinema. I don't watch television. Obviously, I use a television display, but I just don't watch television. I think the last thing I watched that was produced by traditional media was probably the Louis Theroux, The Settlers documentary. There's certain things that I'll always make time for, Louis Theroux being one of them. I'll watch the Reading and Glastonbury coverage by the BBC, but I generally just am super turned off by traditional media and traditional media production. Mary recommended a series on Netflix. No, it wasn't Mary, sorry, it was Raz and Bridie. and I know that Netflix isn't strictly traditional media, but it's still media designed by, by a corporation. And I think you can really tell, and a lot of stuff loses its soul for me when it's kind of designed by and archetyped by a boardroom, so to speak. And this documentary was a documentary about the tragic story of a lass. I forget her name. And it was a Netflix original 3-part series. American Murder, Gabby Petito, it was called. It was about Gabby Petito, who wanted to live the van life, and she went off the grid with her fella, and the fella ended up being a mentalist and sadly took her life. And it's about like the search for him and what happened and where is Gabby. And it was just so shit. Like, this story is so compelling and heart-wrenching and tragic. And Netflix did such an atrocious job at telling this story. It was constantly reiterating and repeating itself as if you have no attention span. It didn't respect the audience's time. And this was a real turning point where I really realized, okay, I know I've never really been about like kind of big budget production media, but this is abhorrent. This is the worst example of it I've ever seen, because I know 100 YouTube channels that with no payment and off their own back would make a 10 times more compelling version of telling that story than Netflix did. Now, I'm not saying Netflix is public enemy number one. Netflix has made some amazing content. Back when it was current, I watched the first 3 seasons of Stranger Things. I thought American Vandal was really good. There's been some good stuff on Netflix, but I don't even have a Netflix subscription or a Disney Plus subscription anymore, because I just can't get on with big budget media. Again, there is obvious things that you can pull out where like that will go against what I'm saying there. I don't want to sound too pretentious, but as someone who has grown up essentially on YouTube, I've been a YouTube viewer since the ground floor, since those early days. And I'm just kind of tuned and calibrated now to like an independent individual creator or small team of creators delivering a message in their own style, rather than a documentary. I watched this Channel 4 documentary about something Mary recommended, and it's so terrible. Like, it's so bad. Like, I can't believe that professionals are creatively directing these kind of productions where every 20 minutes you've got to then rewind 5 minutes. Not you as an audience member, but like the show like recaps every like 20 minutes. It'll recap it like in a 5-minute section, and this is what's just happened in case you forgot, in case you're mindlessly scrolling on your phone. It doesn't respect your time. Obviously, there are examples where traditional media has made some amazing stuff. David Attenborough's Planet Earth comes to mind straight away. As I say, Louis Theroux. There are examples, but generally, what I'm trying to say is I'm a child of the internet, and I consume my media on the internet. And consequently, my favorite YouTube creators they're like kind of movie stars to me, in a sense. I would be more gassed about meeting like some of my favorite YouTube creators, big or small, than I would about meeting like a Leonardo DiCaprio, a Tom Cruise, whatever. And I'm sure some people will be able to relate to that. And that's why when someone does say to me in person, like, oh, you guys are my favorite YouTube channel, I'll often say something like, I really take that compliment very seriously, because to me, that is the ultimate compliment. Because for me, as someone that watches exclusively YouTube content, the best YouTubers are not just the best YouTubers, but they are the best production house, the best storytellers. So anyway, I'm super passionate about YouTube and independent media. and, you know, small shops putting out pieces of media. And obviously they're incentivized by AdSense and by Patreon, and in the same way that we are. But fundamentally, the desire to create this content comes strictly from passion. And I think that's what separates a lot of, while there's obviously tons of passionate people in traditional media, loads of them, you can't deny that someone that's creating something off their own back and they're their own kind of creative director of their own project going up on YouTube is an unparalleled amount of passion. And a lot of you will have experienced that yourself if you've ever made a YouTube video. So, rambling aside, why am I telling you this? Well, as I say, you've seen the title. These are 10 videos that I've not just come up with for the sake of this podcast. This is an ongoing and evolving list that I have in my notes app and always ever present in my head. And when I'm watching something on YouTube, I'm always looking for the next video that'll be on this list. And I consume a lot of YouTube. I've just finished watching Chris Chan: A Comprehensive History, the 84-part documentary, for the second time. So, you know, I watch a hell of a lot of YouTube, and very rarely on a magical occasion will I discover a video that is just above and beyond, and it kind of makes my best of list. So I just wanted to run through that list with a bit of context. And, you know, obviously it's just my opinion. There's a lean towards kind of slightly nerdier things in this list, given my personality and who I am. And I think that's probably a given for anyone that has any kind of top YouTube list. But these are like, you could consider these like my desert island videos. If I was stuck on a desert island with no internet connection, but a device that had some videos downloaded, it would be these ones. And they're in no particular order, guys. Each one of these channels means a hell of a lot to me. I respect these creators so much, and their work is unparalleled. These are videos that I've watched each of them multiple times. I can just kind of put these on and just really get into them over and over again. And yeah, they're just the best of the best. So number one, again, this is in no particular order, is a video from a channel that uploads very infrequently. That's something you'll notice with these channels. Most of them upload quite infrequently. But that's because it really is quality over quantity. This video is called The Enduring Mystery of Jack the Ripper by the YouTube channel Lemino. Lemino is an amazing storyteller, and he produces his videos, I'm pretty sure, single-handedly. He started as a top 10 channel and has since told stories about this Jack the Ripper video, which I picked on this list. He's got an amazing video on the assassination of President Kennedy, which runs for 1 hour and 40 minutes. He's got videos about space, a video about Malaysian Airways flight MH370 that went missing. A great video about DB Cooper. And his style and his storytelling is just so amazing. He's a European guy, and this Enduring Mystery of Jack the Ripper tells the story of Jack the Ripper, would you believe, going around London in the 1800s? I need to watch it again, clearly. And Lemino's presentation is second to none, and he has inspired so many channels that I see now that are, you know, definitely inspired by his storytelling. Channels like Fern, which are amazing, they've definitely taken that inspiration from Lemino. He is the OG. He composes original music for his videos, and does all the design and all the graphics himself, and these videos are entirely like graphic based. Like he doesn't pop up in them, or very rarely. So it's like voiceover and visual storytelling, and it's just an amazing and terrifying account of Jack the Ripper. It runs for an hour and 10 minutes, and it takes you around London. It shows you the map of where everything was going on. It describes in graphically accurate detail what was happening to these victims. It hypothesizes on theories, and it just takes you out of the real world for an hour and 10 minutes. And it is an amazing piece of storytelling by one of the most talented creators on the platform. Lemino has just under 6 million subscribers and uploaded 2 months ago a bit of a different type of video about messages going into space, all the different times we've sent messages into space. And this was 2.5 hours long, and it was a different style. It was a bit less digestible than his usual stuff, but it was still amazing. But I would strongly recommend check out the Lemino channel. I know that might sound stupid, a 20,000 subs, 30,000 subs podcast channel recommending a channel this big. But if you've never heard of Lemino, please do check out the Enduring Mystery of Jack the Ripper, or the President Kennedy Inside the Book Depository video. There's probably 5 or 6 of Lemino's videos that could easily make my top 10. I had to just round it down. I absolutely love this creator, and it is an amazing pleasure to watch what they make. Lemino is a European dude. This next guy is, I'm proud to say, is British. And this video is, again, just something that I love. This creator is a British creator, goes by the name of Ahoy, as in like what a sailor might say. Ahoy, matey. And Ahoy is a British guy, and his presentation style is really unique. Again, it's all done, like, it's not him on camera, it's all done with graphics. It's all kind of post-production, if that's the right way to describe it. And the video in question here is called The First Video Game. It's an hour-long exploration of what was the first ever video game, but it's told in such a compelling way. It initially starts out by kind of figuring out what is a video game, and then goes through great detail to determine what could be considered the first ever video game. And it, you know, the basic kind of gist of it is, well, it's easy to say, oh, it's Pong. You know, even at Christmas, I was sat in the pub, and my uncle was telling me, you know, this was what was the first ever video game console, and it's easier in those social scenarios to just kind of nod and agree. But as a nerd, you want to know, like, accurately, you know, what is the first ever video game. So Ahoy travels through the years, and at first comes up with his own definition of like what he would class as a video game. And I think, and if memory serves, he lands somewhere on like a video signal that can be manipulated by the user with the express intention of just being fun. And if you subscribe to that idea of a video game, that definition, then it helps you navigate what was the first ever video game. And it's a lot, the conclusion he comes to is a lot earlier than you might think, probably by several decades. The thing I really like about this video in particular is not just that it's a really unique approach and clinical approach at looking at something that no one can really say objectively is the first, because everyone's definition of a video game might vary slightly. But it's just a really professional look, really informative, and his soothing British voice is just so nice on the ears. And this video is great for watching at night because it's a very dark video in terms of its color palette. And I think with a lot of videos that are kind of made for like nighttime watching, like you'll see like videos about like the 2 hours of facts to fall asleep to, and they'll often be composed of like a white color, like white background. It's like, why are you making a video that's going to light up my screen? I want to watch something dark as I'm settling down. This is mainly a black color palette, but the way that it's delivered is, and I don't know how Ahoy's done this, but it's almost like it's an overhead projector type thing, and every slide that he's showing you is like a printout, and it's kind of cycling through him showing the printouts on screen. And this is just a theory. I'm a big fan of Ahoy, but I'm certain that in every video he deliberately mispronounces a word or two just to bait engagement. And I can't remember what the word is in this, but there's always, unless that's just not a thing, but I know for certain there's quite a few mispronounced words in otherwise perfectly researched and articulated videos. And I'm sure he just does that as a joke, but the first video game by Ahoy is an amazing channel. He's got some other great videos as well, and they all have a really cool, unique delivery and presentation. He's got a great one. I think it's called 8-Bit Burger, which is about meticulously recreating this picture of a burger that he saw in a magazine in like the 80s, using like of the time correct kind of software to redraw this burger. But the first video game is absolutely an all-timer, and shout out to Lemino. Not Lemino, Ahoy. The next video is a video that when it dropped, I considered it the best thing I've ever seen. And it's a little bit of a controversial one, and it has been removed and re-uploaded since its initial drop. And some of you might know, if you're a real nerd, what that is. Just from me saying that. This channel is a channel that I have so much love for, and it's Internet Historian. And the video is, and I could have picked a few here because the quality of Internet Historian's main channel videos is unreal. But the video that we're going for is Man in Cave. Man in Cave is a video about a man who gets stuck in a cave for a horrendous amount of time, like 30 days or something, maybe even longer. I can't remember. Floyd Collins is his name, and he's stuck in this cave, and basically everyone's trying to rescue him, and he becomes like famous in this cave. Like while he's trapped in this cave, everyone in America knows about this man trapped in this cave. Everyone's trying to help get him out. And it's told in the brilliant way that only Internet Historian can. For those of you that don't know, Internet Historian uses kind of really rudimentary animation, as in like, kind of like, almost like a modern equivalent of like how old school South Park used to be done. I've no idea how they actually record these, but basically it's almost like you have different Photoshop layers and you're moving the layers around to show the animation. But that doesn't do it justice, because it really is like super unique and super engaging. And this story about this poor man trapped in this cave is just so harrowing, but it's told in the Internet Historian way with humor and jokes kind of thrown in. They're an Australian team, or like there's significant members of the Internet Historian team from the Australian continent, and I think their humor is very similar to British humor, and it just kind of clicks with me, and it just kind of lands. Now, controversially, this video was found out to be kind of pseudo plagiarized. And what I mean by that is that Internet Historian's team adapted the script and sometimes just took parts of the script from an existing article, which leaves a bit of a black mark on this video, because they didn't credit the writer of the article. And since then, the video's been removed. It's been re-uploaded, and it exists now as a re-upload. And it's admittedly it's not as good. But I've sat and I've watched Man in Cave with Mary and with my girlfriend and myself when it first came out, and we've all three of those people have been just enamored by this piece of media. Internet Historian is absolutely the best in the business when it comes to unique presentation and funny, and timer just went off, funny delivery of interesting accounts from history. For this list, I made an understandable kind of rule of one video per channel, but that rule will be slightly bent as we continue on through this list, and you'll see why. But I love Internet Historian. Number 4 on this list is a video from a creator called Frederick Knudsen, who has a series called Down the Rabbit Hole. And this is very opposite to the previous 3 videos. It's super basic presentation. A PowerPoint presentation is more jazzy than this guy's output. But where he really shines is with his level of research. Down the Rabbit Hole is a series that just takes you, as you can imagine, down a rabbit hole on a topic that you might have never heard of. Temple OS, for example. You know, if you know what that is, then I'm sorry. But if you don't, Down the Rabbit Hole is the series to teach you all about it. The Time Cube, EVE Online, all these kind of topics, and Frederick meticulously researches these. This video that I've chosen does have an amped up presentation style, which I think just makes his work so much more engaging. And the video title, it's a video about the Battle of May Island. I don't know I can't remember what the exact title of the video is. No, it's called The Battle of May Island, Down the Rabbit Hole. This is an hour-long video describing the most embarrassing and tragic Navy exercise that was ever undertaken. And in short, it's about a training exercise of U-boats or submarines going off the coast of Scotland just to do like a routine exercise. And there's loads of them going in what's known as a K-class submarine, which is a notoriously like shitty submarine. And he basically explains what makes a good submarine, what makes a bad submarine. And then in a really interesting visual way, tells the story of this Battle of May Island, which was a classified operation until relatively recently, in the grand scheme of things. And it basically, these submarines, they go out, they've got like boats with them as well. There's like 20 plus vessels that just go out in the night just for this routine training exercise. And basically everyone fucking sinks and dies because of a few bad calculations and these terrible submarines and a couple of like misplaced judgment calls. Everyone ends up just dying on this tragic thing where there was not even a fight going on, just a few mistakes, and it snowballs, and all the subs end up crashing into each other, the boats end up crashing, and this was so embarrassing that it was like classified for a long time. And these people, these souls that perished on the Battle of May Island, as it's called, it's not really a battle, but it has fatalities like a battle. These people didn't really get their flowers or their recognition or their kind of, immortalization because it was classified, because the Navy was so embarrassed about this. I don't have too much more to say on this one, but it's just an amazing and tragic story told by one of the best researchers on the platform, Frederick Knudsen. So that is the Battle of May Island, Down the Rabbit Hole. This next video is the oldest video on the list. And it's from a creator that, you know, I love so much. This video is 10 years old, and I've watched this guy since day one. And he only uploads maybe once every 18 months now, but when he does, it's an event. And it is Michael from Vsauce. And there's a few videos I could have picked, but this is the one that has always stood out with me and has truly blown my mind. And it's a video called the Banach-Tarski Paradox. This is a video in which Michael, in his infinite wisdom and unmatched charisma and charm, tries his best and succeeds to explain a paradox wherein you can take an item, split it up, cut it up into different parts, and rearrange those parts to end up with two identical copies of that same item, which sounds mental. The way that Michael articulates this and demonstrates it makes you understand, and that's what makes this video so powerful, because what I just said sounds mental. How can you take something, cut it up, rearrange those cut parts, and end up with two identical copies of the original thing? How does that happen? Well, watch this video and it makes sense. The way that he describes this is poetically genius. And this video has had I'll never forget, I watched it on the day it came out, and I watch it a couple of times a year. It's only 25 minutes long. So it's a bit more digestible than some of the other stuff. And it's amazing. And I'm looking now, it's almost got 50 million views. So clearly a lot of people agree. But Michael digs into a few concepts you need to understand before tackling the titular paradox. And the way he just kind of delivers this information, you're really like, shit, this really could actually happen. And it is, as you can imagine, the most comprehensive and digestible at the same time Banach-Tarski paradox video on the internet. And this era of Vsauce is golden. Around this time, he was making some other amazing videos as well. I would recommend How to Count Past Infinity, and I would recommend Super Tasks for other mind-bending, real kind of pushing your level of comprehension further than you thought you could comprehend. But the Banach-Tarski paradox video, with its iconic thumbnail of just the kind of orb that you don't know what it is when you're just looking at the thumbnail, but if you've watched the video, you know exactly what it is. It is brilliant. Michael Stevens is a personal hero of mine, and I would love to one day be able to shake his hand and explain the profoundly positive impact he's had on my life. I love Vsauce, the amazing work that he does with the Curiosity box, which is his like subscription box that comes quarterly, where the proceeds go to Alzheimer's research. I'm a massive advocate for that, and I just think he's an amazing person, and I love Michael from Vsauce, and I would love to be able to express that to him. Totally changing lanes now. This video is from another creator that every creator on this list to me is like a rock star, like every single one of them. This guy in particular is maybe the one that I admire the most. A very rare uploader. And he's actually from West Yorkshire. I would love to know whereabouts, not in a creepy parasocial way, but I just can't place his accent because it doesn't sound anything like mine. This is the mighty Hbomberguy. Some of you will know him, some of you will not. Hbomberguy is a brilliant, brilliant creator. And there's no one else on the platform like him. And some of you might think you know what video I'm going to pick here, because he came out with a video at time of recording, his most recent video and his most popular video by an order of magnitude, called Plagiarism and YouTube, where he independently, well, with his small team, I think there's 2 of them, but basically researches and exposes plagiarism on this platform. And that's where internet historians Man in Hole took its L from. Not to minimize the seriousness of plagiarism, of course. You know, I know I've complimented the internet historian video in this very video, but you know, talking about just media that's made an impact on me as opposed to strict ethics and stuff like that. But Hbomberguy has many other great videos. I've watched actually every single thing on his channel, and every year or so I will generally rewatch everything on his channel. He's got a great series called A Measured Response, where he responds to you know, just ridiculous, often right-wing nonsense stuff, and stuff like anti-vaxxers and stuff like flat earth, and even like political stuff, which I don't really dip my toes into, but he's covered it in a way that I really vibe with. The video in question is a video called Roblox_oof.mp3. You know, this guy's so confident in how good his work is, that he can name a video a file name like that. This is a video that starts out trying to trace the history of the terrible impression there, of the Roblox oof sound. And this has become a signature Hbomberguy move over the course of his last couple of uploads. Halfway through, the video will pivot and you'll realize what the video is actually about. Because as he's been researching, he's found a massive rabbit hole and kind of changed the topic. And this video ends up being essentially an expose on a guy called Tommy Tallarico, who is self-proclaimed like one of the most prolific video game related creatives of all time. He is someone that works in soundtracking and audio production, and he takes credit for creating this Roblox oof sound, but he's also just a gimp and an insecure, truth-bending poser who wants to be known for all these amazing accolades. And while he does have definitely a cool resume, he's nowhere near as influential or important or as significant as he would like to be. And Hbomberguy hilariously takes him down. He's got these world records. He says he's got like 6 world records, and Hbomberguy can prove that actually maybe he's only got like 2 world records, and this one's a lie, and this one's a lie. And during Hbomber's research, Guinness actually ended up removing one of his world records, and he pretended he was on MTV Cribs, and he wasn't really. And his house is just so like lavish and tacky, and Hbomberguy just absolutely just annihilates him. And then I won't bore you with too much detail, but if you've got the time to commit the 2 hours to a YouTube video, the Hbomberguy Roblox oof video is among the greatest of all time. And Hbomberguy is probably my most respected creator. I absolutely love him. He has so much integrity, and I'm so proud to be from the same county that he is from, if Wikipedia is correct. And this is someone that I would absolutely love to sit down and have a chat with. Absolute rock star to me. I love Hbomberguy, and this video is class. We're going to switch now to a bit of a different vibe. Most of these videos, in fact, all of the videos that have been on this list so far are from channels that I love. They're from channels where I know a lot about the creator. I've watched pretty much all of their work. This video is actually the only video I've ever watched from this channel. The channel's called Secret Base, and I have never ever watched another video from this channel because they're a sports channel and I just don't care about sports. So you got to think, if a video's made it onto my top 10 list of all time from them, it must be something pretty amazing. Guys, this video is called The Bob Emergency, a study of athletes named Bob. And it's from a series that this channel has called Chart Party. And this is an infographic type video that takes place purely in digital graphics. And it's like a mental idea that like two friends would come up with after a joint. And it's like basically the rise and fall of people called Bob in all sports. So it chronicles, okay, when did the Bobs start showing up? When was the peak of Bobs? And now it makes you really invested in Bobs in sport. And then it kind of paints the Bob emergency, if you will, which is the ever-present decline of people called Bob in sports. It makes you really care. And the way it makes you care is by telling the story of some amazing and not so amazing Bobs across sporting history. The one that stands out to me most is, I want to say his name's Bob Buford. I want to make sure I get that right. I'm not sure if I have. It's just coming up with clothes when I type that in. I think it's Bob Buford. And he is a black athlete, against a lot of the air ambulance is landing. That's never a good idea. Again, the system is working against him, and he manages to qualify for the Olympics in the long jump. And he's pushing himself so hard to get the world record and in particular the gold medal of long jump. And I won't spoil it for you because this video is amazing. It's actually a 2-part video. And I'm just classing both parts as one video. But the way that it makes you invested in these Bobs, from unremarkable Bobs that we don't have any photos of that lost so many boxing matches in the 60s that no one has thought about this Bob until this video has been made, to well-known Bobs like Bob Burnquist and there's other well-known Bobs I can't necessarily remember, but it does an amazing job at introducing an arbitrary measure, people in sports called Bob. Then it makes you really, really care about these individuals, these special individuals called Bob. And then it makes you really sad about the decline of Bobs in sports, something that was laughable at the start of the video. And the presentation of this is amazing. It is, again, an infographic style presentation, all digital charts and graphics and photos. And it's just spellbinding. And this video just captured me. It was recommended to me by a friend who's a big fan of this channel, and it very quickly became one of my favorite YouTube productions of all time. I've only watched it twice, and it's my least watched of this top 10 list, but that doesn't mean that it's any less good. We're getting to the end of the list now, folks, and this next video is one which kind of bends the rules a little bit. It's a video called The Gentleman Pilot Sundance Rejects, and it's a video from a channel called Incognito Mode. And the reason this bends the rule a little bit is because Incognito Mode is essentially Internet Historian's second channel. And this second channel, it serves mainly for lower effort production. Now, any amount of production is going to be lower effort compared to what Internet Historian does on the main channel, because it's just an amazing effort that they put in. But it's more like, on the second channel, it's more like, almost like podcasty quite often. They have a series called In the Field, where it's like Internet Historian himself and one of the Internet Historian kind of orbiters just having a chat about art or retail or like alcohol or just any broad topic, and then it's kind of animated after the fact. But sometimes on this channel, there's productions worthy of main channel, and this is one of them. It's called The Gentleman Pilot, and it's a story, a true story, I believe, about the pirate Stede Bonnet, who was a rich and wealthy, well-to-do kind of good boy, good man, you know, law-abiding citizen. We're talking like years ago, like centuries ago. And he just kind of gets bored of his kind of boring life with his wife and his kids. And he decides, like, fuck it, I'm going to be a pirate. Because piracy is a big thing back then. And he gets a ship, and he's not cut out for being a pirate. And he's known as the gentleman pirate because he has like a good code of conduct, and he kind of pays his crew in a way that was kind of innovative, and a lot of the other kind of pirates, you know, none of the other pirates did. And he would not like kill people meaninglessly, but he's not a very good pirate. And this story is told through the typical Internet Historian nature, and it features a creator called Ordinary Things playing Stede Bonnet. What I like about a lot of Internet Historian stuff is a lot of creators that I like play parts in these videos with their likeness and their voice on the animation. And Ordinary Things plays Stede Bonnet, and there's a load of other characters in this hour and 15 long movie, if you will. And the basic story is he's not doing so good at pirating, so he partners with Blackbeard, who basically kind of takes over his ship, and then he's kind of wanted by the British government, and they have like a big shootout and a big battle. But just the hilarity in the way that Internet Historian can tell this story, the little quips, the little jokes, and also the truly interesting nature of this story. It's crazy that this ended up being a second channel video, but I'm glad that it was, because it's enabled me to add a second Internet Historian related video to this list. The video, again, is called The Gentleman Pirate Sundance Rejects, and it's part of a Sundance Rejects series, which has some other great videos in it. I guess what he's going for is like, it's a shit film that we're making. But it's a great channel. Internet Historian has a third channel called Explained, where they basically like explain video games, and that's amazing as well. And I've watched every video across every one of Internet Historian's channels. And it is my dream to one day somehow feature in one of these videos. I have had a very, very brief conversation message thread with Internet Historian. And have had very, very light interactions with them. It is my dream, my end goal, to one day play a part in an Internet Historian video. Whether that's a background likeness or a speaking role, that would be my make-a-wish, you know? And shout out to the whole team at Internet Historian. I don't know how you do it. Their latest video about the Ever Given canal boat being stuck. Oh my God, it's so good. The video about the Costa Concordia, it's so good. I love you guys. You're doing an amazing job. Brings us on to our last video. This is the most recent channel that I've grown to love. And it's a channel that talks about something that, in theory, I don't really care about. But it's proof that a good production, a good research production, can make you care about something. If someone is passionate enough about something to tell a story this compelling, it deserves your time. This video is called Disney Channel's Theme, A History Mystery. And it's from a channel called Defunctland, who make videos about theme parks, essentially. Animatronics in theme parks, Disney technologies and innovations, theme park failings, theme park experiments. But the Disney Channel theme is a bit of a different one. And it tries to find out who made an iconic Disney Channel jingle that plays during a certain transitional segment on the Disney Channel. Now, I don't watch the Disney Channel. I don't care about Disney. I don't care about any of this, but this video really made me care. And it has a great twist in it. And I would recommend you go and check this video out. It's a bit of a mid-length one. It's 90 minutes, so feature length. And the twist is great. Don't think too much about it. Just go watch the video. But basically, Defunctland tries to get to the bottom of where's this sound from? Who came up with it? When was it first introduced? Who can I ask at Disney? Who used to work at Disney? And he speaks to like people on the Disney team, people that worked there, advertising agencies. And the goal is to give credit and give the flowers that are deserved to whoever created this iconic jingle, because it's almost a disservice that we're living in a world where this is, you know, vastly uncredited and underappreciated. And as I say, I don't want to talk too much about this because it might ruin some of the flow of the video if you're planning on watching it yourself. But it's just an amazing video. It gives me shivers every time. And it's one of those videos where as soon as I watched it, which was only maybe a year ago, maybe 2 years ago, as soon as I watched it, I was like, this is an all-timer. Shout out to Defunctland. Shout out to all the creators on this list. I've just realised I missed one. I've missed one, the last one. Now, this one is harder to recommend because it requires a lot of pre-knowledge. Like, you need to know about this subject already to care about this video, whereas the other ones, you don't have to. This is a video by the channel Folding Ideas, which is a brilliant documentary video essay channel with some amazing videos on it. If you want something more accessible from them, I would probably recommend In Defense of a Flat Earth. That's a really good video. This video from them is called I Don't Know James Rolfe. So if you know who James Rolfe is, you'll love this video. If you don't know, it's going to be a lot harder to recommend. James Rolfe is known you might know him as the Angry Video Game Nerd, and he is a lifetime, if I could give out a lifetime achievement to one person on the internet, it would be to James Rolfe. He has been creating this video series through thick and thin since 2004, and he is widely credited as the OG YouTube guy. He started the video series even before YouTube. And he's not without criticism. He has been criticized and critiqued very heavily, particularly in this decade. And he's made some bad judgment calls, nothing controversial, but like, the thing is, this guy makes video game reviews. It's not that deep. But ultimately, he really sees himself as a filmmaker, and I give him the credit for that, and I think absolutely let's view him as that. This video from Folding Ideas comes from someone else who sees themselves as a filmmaker, but ultimately they are a YouTuber, and criticizes James, but you can tell it's from a place of respect. It's basically an hour-long analysis of James's journey and career and decisions, and it's very critical of James. And as a massive fan of James, I loved this video because it felt like it was made just for me. It's from a channel I love. Dan Olson at Folding Ideas is brilliant, and the team that make these videos on Folding Ideas, they do an amazing job. The Man Tracks video that he put out was really entertaining and engaging. But this video, I feel like it was just made for me. And it's nice to know that with 2.8 million views on this video, that there's 2.8 million more people like me that care enough about this fringe-ass stuff to watch this hyper-specific video. It's told in a brilliant way, like Folding Ideas always does, with amazing presentation. It is a live action on camera, to camera. And if you're just kind of into like introspective, nerd, reflectory like shit, I really do recommend I Don't Know James Rolfe. It's very hard to recommend to a broad audience. But if you think you might like something like this, then you will absolutely love it. But I wouldn't necessarily recommend this to people who don't know of the Angry Video Game Nerd and some of the lore surrounding that and the Cinemassacre Truth and Mike Matei and stuff like this. I wouldn't necessarily recommend it. But it makes my top 10 all the same. Shout out to Dan Olson. Shout out to all the creators on this list. These people mean so much to me through the screen, and they have kept me company so many times. I have watched tens of hours, sometimes hundreds of hours of content from these creators, and I'm so grateful that they're here creating independent content that they want to make, and good luck to all of them. I wish them all the best, and I can't wait to see what's next from them all. Thank you so much for listening, folks. I appreciate a bit of a possibly weird video from me, because, we've done top 10s in the past. We've done top 10 songs, done top 10 albums, done top 10 films, which is interesting because I lent on the fact that I don't really watch traditional cinema at all in this video. This one is a bit more fringe, but I'm very passionate about it, so I'm going to channel it somewhere, and the podcast is certainly the place to channel it. Thank you so much for watching another episode of The View from the Afternoon. I've talked for a long while, it feels at the minute, so I'm going to have a lovely cup of tea with some honey in and some Fox's biscuits that are left over from Christmas. I will love you and leave you. Thank you, as always, for tuning in and giving this channel your attention. It's easy to forget that, for me, that this channel is, the TPD TV is always going to be my main focus and always has been. But this channel is now bigger than that channel was a few years ago. And it's easy for me to forget that sometimes. So thanks for being here. I love you and leave you, and we'll see you next week on the internet's most consistent podcast. Fuck you, Jack. Right, goodbye.